All right, Rossa. So fairly theory heavy lesson last time there, right? So we're talking about chords, right? So the first thing we needed to establish was that we can do all of the major and minor chords, right? So you've already got your basic shapes. There's the major ones and there's the minor ones, right? So you've got A, C, D, E, and G for the majors, and then A, D, and E for the minors, right? So we've got five majors, three minors, right? And there should be 12 of each, right? So we're missing seven of one, nine of the other, right? So the way we do that is bar chords. Now, my way of going about that is if you can bar E and A major and minor, then you're completely covered for any minor and major chord you could want, right? So if we look at let's say B minor, right? So the most obvious way of playing B minor is to take your A minor shape, switch it around so that your index finger is free, A sharp, B. Now with this A shape, A minor shape, we're not using the sixth string, so just bring your finger up enough to touch it to take it out of there and roll it back on its side like that. Okay? Now the other way of doing it would be to take E minor, less practical way of doing it, but still. E minor, there's no E sharp, so F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. And there's your B minor, right? So, and you just, whatever minor chord you want, let's say F sharp minor. So with, I won't count up, you can do that yourself. But there it is there, A minor shape on the 9th fret will give you an F sharp minor. And then E minor shape, 2nd fret. Give you the same chord. And which one you use just depends on which texture you want. You know, do you prefer the sound, you know, does this sound most appropriate for what you're doing, or this? Okay, so then the majors, we've got, so like for example, F is just a bar chord of E major, right? So same deal, you just switch it around so your first finger's free. Now, we're barring 6 strings this time. So I think a good metric for that is to get your, that joint there where the bone protrudes out, get that on the G string, right? On the 3rd string. So your finger should end up about there, right? So at least an inch past the fretboard. This is all you have to do, but you're a lot weaker here than you would be here. It's just how leverage works. So there's F major, F sharp major, G major, G sharp, A. So so the A shape, when we bring that up, is a little bit different, right? So this is how we're going to do A, right? So we'll block out the 6th. So we got that open one there. So it's a case of where exactly you put your 3rd finger and how you bend it and how you distribute the pressure of it, right? Because you want the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings ringing out, but lift it off the 3rd or the 1st, okay? Because if you just bar them all like that, that's A6 then, so that's a different chord, right? So that's not what we want. Okay, so then take that. Now this finger here doesn't actually need to bar anything, right? All it needs to do is just hold down that bass string and preferably get rid of the 6th as well. So there's C, D, E, G, and so on. Okay, so there's the majors and minors done, right? So now, so I just want to run through this quick enough, so because we were talking about 7th chords as well. Now with the basic 7th chords, there's 4 different types of them, right? So major and minor, 2 majors, 2 minors, right? So 2 major variations and 2 minor variations, right? Now, the way you get them is you take the 8th of a given chord, right? So in other words, the note that has the same name as the chord that isn't the bass note, right? So let's do all of these with A, right? And I want you to figure out the rest of them, right? So because the whole point of this is for me not to just say there's A major 7, there's D major 7, there's C major 7, and all that, right? So because I don't want to do it by shapes anymore, right? Because it makes much more sense to have a system for finding your own chords, right? At this point, you know, because there's just too many chords, too many shapes, it doesn't make sense to learn, after a certain point, it doesn't make sense to learn them like that. So we'll go with A. So the first thing is, where's the A note here, right? So we know that's the A note, but that's the bass note, so we'll leave that alone, right? So 2nd fret G string, G sharp, A. There it is, right? So for A major 7, as opposed to A7, we take the 8th down by 1. All right? For A7, sometimes, a lot of the time it's called A dominant 7, but that's kind of depends on the context of it. More on that later anyway. So A7, you take it down by 2. Now it's already on the 2nd fret here, so you let your first finger go. Now the fact that you take your finger off the string, that's kind of neither here nor there. What we've really done is brought it down by 2 semitones. Okay? So A major 7, the 8th taken down by 1, A7, 8th taken down by 2. Okay, so minor is the same deal. Now, when you take the 8th of a minor chord down by 1, you get a pretty strange chord, right? So there it is there. So we're just going to take the G string back down to the 1st fret and then bring this up here. So the rest of the chord stays the same. Right? That murder mystery type thing, right? No, it sounds pretty cool. It sounds interesting. But it's not the most usable chord ever, right? You know, we'll talk about how you can use it, because obviously with something weird like this, if you do use it right, you can get some really interesting results with it, right? But most of the time, with a minor chord, we're going to be taking that 8th down by 2 for a minor 7. So that's A minor major 7. So it's an A minor chord with a major high 7 in it. And there's just A minor 7. So it'd almost make more sense if this was called A minor 7, because that's actually what it is. It's a minor chord with a minor or lower 7th in it, okay? So there's A minor. Taking that down by 2. There's A minor 7. Okay, let's just do all of that again with D, right? And then the rest of the examples, I want you to kind of look through them, right? Because that's important, is being able to find your way through a chord, know what the different parts of it are. So for example, we know that this is D, that's D minor, right? So therefore, this note here must be the 3rd, right? Because that's the note that decides major or minor, right? So, but we're not looking for the 3rd right now, we're looking for the 8th. So it's a D chord, there's a D note, right? D major 7, or you just take it down by 1, the rest of the chord stays the same. D7, where it's taken down by 2. So D major 7, D7. Minors, D minor major 7, and then there's D minor 7. Yeah, I said that was D minor major 7, right? Okay, so there's D minor 7, right? So because all we're doing is, this was already here anyway, but now this string is also on the 1st fret, so we just bar across the two of them like that. Okay, so that's 7ths. That's pretty much everything you need to know, right? And I don't, you know, I want you to kind of work through all the chords you know and see if you can find the 7th version of them, right? Because that really is the way to go about it. It's thinking your way through the chords, not just kind of, okay, this shape makes this chord, this shape makes that chord, right? It really, at this point, it shouldn't work like that. It should be kind of a case of understanding what's in the chord, you know, where's the 1st, where's the 5th, where's the, you know, and just seeing how you get on that way. All right, so we'll leave it at that, and I'll talk to you next week. We'll do something more practical next week, I promise. All right, talk to you then.